I wanted to frame it as decor because look how beautiful she is. It took me days to finish, mostly because a large portion is like one color. And once I finished, I realized there was one piece missing. Like, of course, I searched high and low for this piece. I looked in every crack, crevice, crease in my room to find this missing piece, but she was nowhere to be found. So I realized it might be like a manufacturing issue. But I framed it anyway because I decided to use it as a metaphor. Life is never complete. There's always room for growth, and perfection is never the goal. The other night I left my apartment for a bit, and then when I came back I tossed my keys on my bed, and when I picked them up, the missing piece was under my keys. I was like, what? I was perplexed. Like, I thought this was a glitch in the Matrix, parallel universe, timeline jumping, whatever. I was like, I did this puzzle in a completely different state. How does it appear beneath my keys in New York after all that moving, everything? I just don't understand it. I'm so happy and excited that I can finally finish this, but like, what the heck? I need to know if anyone else has experienced any glitch in the Matrix things. So let me know your stories because I'm genuinely curious about this topic.
Owie. Is it what you want? You want?
Yeah.
Why?
I was a glitch in the Matrix. I was putting my clothes away, and I came across this shirt, and nothing weird about that. But then I came across this shirt, the same exact shirt, in a different part of the closet. And this is not a shirt that I buy multiples of. This is like kind of a special occasion shirt. And this one has the tag that I had cut out. And this one has the tag where I had cut it out. And I don't know. I'm kind of weirded out right now. I don't know, like, why these two shirts. These are not just tank tops. These are not basics. And I don't have a lot of clothes. I mean, okay, I kind of do. But I don't have a lot of clothes to wear. I forget what I buy. Like, this is
my boyfriend at 9:59. And I looked at the clock and I was like, let me go to bed. Let me let you go. Because I want to go to bed at exactly 10. Lights out. Within the minute, I want to have my eyes closed, everything off. Because I like to go to bed at even times. And hung up on him. Closed my eyes, and then I was like, well, let me set an alarm really quick so I don't sleep until some obscene hour. Turn my phone back on. I'm setting an alarm. I just happened to glance at the time because I'm like, oh, okay, I want to make sure it's not 10:01, because if it's 10:01, I'm going to have to wait till 10:30 to go to sleep, so I'm going to scroll on TikTok for 29 minutes. Check the time. I look at the time. It's 3:30 a.m. Like, on the dot, 3:30 a.m. And I was like, okay, that's not right. So I check my iPad and I check my computer, and they both say 3:30 a.m. And so I go downstairs and I check the clock on the stove, 3:31 a.m. I'm like checking every clock in the house. It's 3:30. And I'm like, did I just die and come back to life like 5.5 hours later? Because that's what it feels like. Like, I genuinely don't know what just happened. Like, I guess I was asleep, but it was like a stream of consciousness, though. Like, I had the same thought when I woke up that I had when I was going to bed. Like, I need to check and set my alarm before it turns 10:01, or I'm gonna have to stay up until 10:30. Like, that was the thought process I had. And I literally blinked. Like, I literally blinked. Next day. 5.5 hours later, I checked like all the messages I had sent right before I went to bed, and like, sure enough, they were like delivered 5.5 hours, 5 hours before. And I'm like, oh my god, what just happened? What just happened? Like, it literally, I just ceased to exist in between 10 and 3:30, apparently, because I have no recollection. Like, it, bam. The only thing I can equate this to is whenever I got my wisdom teeth taken out, and I went under anesthesia, and I was counting down, and then all of a sudden I was waking up and they were telling me that I was done, and I started crying because I was scared, because it didn't feel right. I felt like I was being messed with, And then I had a nap a couple years ago that I remember was like this. Like, I literally blinked and then it was like dark outside and I had gone to bed when it was light, and I remember thinking that was super weird. But this is much weirder because I wasn't that tired when I went to bed, and that time that I took that nap, I was dog tired. I was so tired. But so it was explainable. This is not explainable because I wasn't that tired and I woke up with the exact same thought. Like, can anyone explain to me what kind of sleep that is? Because I've been trying to research it, but I can't put it into words to form a Google search. So if anyone knows, like if there's a medical professional that knows what that kind of sleep is called, please let me know, because I'm fascinated and freaked out at the same time.
I don't know if this is a glitch or what, but I remember we've had this toy for a long time, and there's always been 2 of everything. 2 purples, 2 of these.
Oh.
And I remember because when I'd clean up, I'd be like, okay, there's 2, there's 2, there's 2. And I noticed this time it looked more full. There's 3 of these. And anyone else with this toy, can you please confirm with me that there's only 2 colors or 2 shapes or whatever? Because this is tripping me out. And I don't think anyone's been over that has like this toy. I am just...
Whoa.
Good job, buddy.
Had the most outrageous dream last night.
Okay, look, I know it sounds crazy. But I am convinced that we are able to access our parallel lives or parallel timelines or whatever it is via our dreams. I know that that's not all dreams are, but I think that it happens pretty fucking regularly. I don't have another explanation for it. I've been saying this for years to anybody who will listen, and I know people think I'm crazy, right? I remember about 17, 18 years ago was when it really started, that idea really started to germinate for me, because there was about like a 2 or 3 year period where I was having dreams that were basically other versions or alternate versions of my real life. You know, like in my real life, I'm going to work, hanging out with my friends, cleaning my apartment, going grocery shopping, and I would go to bed, and almost every night I would have a dream of me doing, like, living this same regular everyday life, but everything was just slightly different. And it would be like I would have these conversations with people in my dream, right? And then I would wake up and I'd go about my day, and I would have like flashes of these conversations that I had in my dream life with people, and it got to the point where I couldn't remember, like, did I have this conversation in real life, or did I have this conversation in dream life, right? And over the years, they've gotten more and more intense, and sometimes they wane. I might not have them for a while, but then I will go through like 2 or 3 month periods where I'm just like going to bed and waking up, or going to sleep and having these dreams where I'm fully living a different life, like having a child, having a family, going on like adventurous trips, like things I would never do in real life, right? And around 2020, the dreams started to really get intense, and they would kind of like bleed over. Like, when you have those phases, and I'm sure there's a term for it, but you're kind of like half asleep, half awake, where I would be kind of like half awake, but I could like feel myself being like cuddled by someone, like somebody was in bed with me, like with their arms around me, and I could hear like music playing. One time, I still remember this was in 2020, I woke up, or was half awake, and I could feel like a whole body pressed against mine with their arms around me, and it didn't feel threatening at all. It felt like the way you would sleep with someone that you're in a romantic relationship with. And I could also hear the television playing the news, and it was Brian Williams on the news. And I woke up when I finally like came to. I was so unsettled, and I laid there for a while, and I had to pick up my phone and Google when was the last time Brian Williams was a television anchor, right? And this was like in the morning, and he wouldn't have been the morning news anchor, but I could hear it so clearly, and I could feel, and it was just like I was waking up. I was like I was straddling this line between waking up in my current life and waking up in my other, whatever this other life is. I've had dreams over the years where I had a son. And it pops up every so often, every like 5 or 6 years. I'll have this dream where I am with my son and he always looks the same. And I wake up, and as soon as I realize that he is not there and he doesn't exist, I am devastated. I am absolutely devastated. I can picture this little boy in my mind's eye right now. And even thinking about it, like just for a brief second, like almost brings me to tears, because all I can think of is there is a version of me out there somewhere that has a son, that has a child, right? I read the lamp story on Reddit. I've read other stories on Reddit that are similar to that. If you haven't heard of the lamp story, you should look it up. And I know that that's slightly different. That's related to like a traumatic brain injury, like or being unconscious or whatever. But I think there has to be a link. There has to be something similar. I've also had dreams where I think I have stepped into like future parallel timelines, or timelines of myself in the future. I also have dreams where I get messages for other people. That's been happening a lot more, I'd say, over the last 2 or 3 years. Like people I work with who I'm not really friends with, or people that are like acquaintances. And I have these dreams that are so like crystal clear, and it's clearly a message. And I feel like I have to go tell them this. It's just, there's something else going on. And I, every so often, like I'll start trying to read like, okay, so is this a thing? Like, is there any research on this? Like, am I just living in a fantasy world? And, you know, all of the things I've read lead me back to like, dreams are just your subconscious dumping. And yeah, we all have those dreams. Like I have dreams where it's definitely just thoughts of things that are happening throughout my regular day. Right? Yeah, but I feel like there's something else going on too.
Low-key freaking out right now. I feel like I'm experiencing one of those glitch in the matrix moments. You ever see people talk about those on here? I'm upstairs in our Airbnb. We have guests coming today, so I've been cleaning it and whatnot. I have most of the rooms done. About an hour ago, I did the bathroom. I cleaned it top to bottom. I swept, as you can see, the broom. I mopped and everything. So I just went to walk in here to double check to make sure the floors look good. And this is laying on the bathroom floor, okay? Hold on. And this is from a necklace that my husband got me for Christmas a few years ago. I wear it a lot, but I have not been wearing it for the last couple weeks because I've been wearing my gold necklaces. And like I said, I just cleaned this whole bathroom top to bottom and did the floors not even an hour ago. And I have not worn this necklace in weeks. So now I have to go downstairs and look at all my jewelry and see if I have the chain for it in its usual spot. So if we come into my bedroom, I always keep my most worn necklaces right here. Okay, literally, I know it. This is the chain. Yes, this is the chain that it usually sits on. And that was just upstairs on my fucking bathroom floor in the Airbnb. I cannot stress enough that I have not worn this necklace in at least a couple weeks. Because like I said, I have been wearing my gold necklaces religiously. I haven't even taken them off to sleep or shower. I am never going to be able to explain this, and it's going to drive me absolutely insane. I'm very happy I did find it though, because I would have been upset if I lost this. I really love this necklace. My husband has good taste. What the fuck though? Bye. Okay, so I do want to circle back to this video and the comments that I keep on getting, because it's honestly still freaking me out and bothering me so much that I can't figure this out. The comment that you see here is a comment that I have been getting a lot, which makes total sense because you would think that it got caught on my clothes or the broom and mop that I was using or something like that. But let me explain. Right now we are on the second level of my home, which is our Airbnb. The Airbnb has its own private entrance just as our home down below does. I mention that because a lot of people have asked if maybe an Airbnb guest somehow got into our home and went through my stuff, but that's not possible. There is no way for them to access the level that our home is on, not to mention I have no life and I am home 90% of the time when we have guests here. As far as it getting caught on the mop or the broom, I really want to make it clear that all of the cleaning products, broom, mop, everything, I have separate cleaning products on each floor. So the bottom floor has its own broom and mop, and the Airbnb top floor has its own broom and mop. I do not mix and match. It just makes my life way easier when I'm cleaning the Airbnb to have everything up here and keep it up here. So there is no way that it was like caught on a mop or a broom and then carried up here. I also want to address it being caught on my clothes maybe, because that was like my first instinct, or maybe caught in my slipper. Caught in my slipper is the absolute only thing that I can think of. Maybe it fell off my dresser, I stepped on it, and then it got caught on the bottom. The pants that I was wearing that day, I swear I can't make this up. The pants I was wearing that day are pants that I have not worn in over a year because I hate them and they're too high-waisted for me. So they've been sitting in my drawer for over a year. And mind you, I wore that necklace like a month or two ago. Also, the shirt that I was wearing that day was brand new. I had just bought it the night before from TJ Maxx. So you have to understand why this is driving me crazy. But I don't know. All I know is that I mopped the floors. I went back in here to double check them and grab all my stuff.